Hello everyone, this is Ankita welcoming you to Global Online Telugu channel. And students, in this lecture we are going to discuss about APRCET 2022 exam, and in today's lecture we are going to discuss most important MCQ on teaching aptitude unit, which is very first unit under the section 1, that is research methodology and the teaching aptitude section. Okay, and in today's lecture we are going to discuss the MCQ on meaning, concept and level of teaching. Students, we are going to discuss all the MCQ in the detailed solution. So do watch this lecture to clear all your doubt about the same, and you will receive my lecture every day at 7 p.m. So do visit our channel every day at 7 and do watch my lecture to clear your upcoming exam. So before we move forward, there is one announcement. For the one who is preparing for the APRCET 2022, we the Global Online is offering complete syllabus study material in which we are providing 2000 plus MCQ quick revision PDF with the detailed explanation, updated MCQ with the detailed explanation, short notes on all the 10 topic and 20 mock tests with the detailed explanation. Students, this is a guaranteed study material, and if you study from this study material, I'm guarantee you this will help you to score the 90% marks from this study material. And this is enough material and you don't have to refer to any other material. This will also save your time so that you can use your maximum time for your major subject. And to get the material, please contact on given number. Do not directly call on this number. Do put the WhatsApp message here. The fee of the course is just rupees 360. So don't wait for the last moment because you are having very less time, that is between the 30 to 35 days. Get the PDF and start your preparation. A teacher should identify what and teach accordingly. So here in this question they ask you, a teacher, one who is teaching in the classroom, should identify what and teach accordingly. And for this the first option here is economic condition of the student. Second one is individual differences among the students. Third one is economic condition of the parents, and the last one is individual differences among the parents. So we consider the teacher is an importance variable, right? Why we consider the teacher as an important variable? Because the teacher is the one who play the important role in the life of student, right? A teacher helps the student to understand the concept and build a better knowledge. A teacher should understand the learning ability of the student and the individual differences among the student and teach accordingly. If the when the teacher is teaching in the classroom and if there is a student who is a slow learner, okay, so the teacher have to think about that children or about that child and teach accordingly. So the teacher, one who is teaching, can't go too fast or can't go too slow. So teacher have to understand everybody's mind, okay, the individual differences among the learner. A teacher should consider all the individual differences of the student before planning the lesson, since the each student is a different. Okay, the every student in the class will not be the same. Each student have a different capacity, different ability, right? So we consider the each student is a different. They understand and learn with their own speed. So what will be the answer here? So the answer will be option number 2. Okay, the teacher should identify individual differences among the students and teach accordingly. Reflective teaching is. So in this question they ask you about a reflective teaching or what is reflective teaching, and for this they given you the 4 options, in which the first option is it is a cyclic process of a thinking about the learning. Second one is linear process of thinking about teaching. Third one is cyclic process of thinking about the teaching, and the last one is linear process of thinking about learning. So here the reflective teaching is the process where the teacher reflects on what is being taught by him or her in the classroom. Okay. So the teacher examines the effectiveness. What teacher is doing? He is examines the effectiveness of the approach adopted by him. Thus, the detailed evaluation and the analysis of teaching practice and think of the way to improve it. Reflective teaching is a cyclical process of thinking about the teaching, because here a teacher continuously thinks about his or her teaching and way to improve it. Okay. So here what teacher is doing is a continuously thinking about his or her teaching. So how he can improve it? Reflective teaching is a great method used by the seasoned and the new teacher to improve their method of teaching. So here the correct answer will be option number 3. That is, it is a cyclical process of thinking about the teaching. Why? Because here the teacher is continuously thinking about his or her teaching and how he or she can improve it. Okay. Which of the following is not applicable to the internal assessment? So here in this question they given you the 4 options and they ask you, given which of the following is not applicable to the internal assessment. So read the question carefully. Here they ask you about the not applicable. Okay. And for this question they given you the options, in which the first option is integration of the teaching and the evaluation. Second one is testing of a skills and ability. Third one is periodic and continuous testing. And the last one is use of only achievement tests. So now understand what is internal assessment. So here the internal assessment is the process, okay, in which the teacher and the institute judge the student performance on the basis of his performance. Achievement test is a test of a development skill and a knowledge. So we consider the achievement test as a test of development and knowledge. And the most common type of achievement test is a standardized test developed to measure the skills and knowledge. Okay. The answer here for this question is option number 4. Use of only achievement test is not applicable to the internal assessment. What is the very important in the process of learning? So here in this question they given you the 4 options and they ask you, given which is the very important in the process of learning. So for this the first option is school atmosphere, second one is infrastructure, third one is previous knowledge, and the last one is teacher's personality. So if we look carefully, so all these things are important, but it asks you which is very important. Please read the question carefully. Okay. So according to the Devi, 1933 experience and a reflection in the action are the most important requirement of the learning. The prior knowledge has long been considered the most important factor influencing the learning and student achievement. So here the prior knowledge played a very important role in the teaching learning process or the student achievement. The amount and the quality of the prior knowledge positively influence, and both the knowledge acquisition and the capacity apply to the higher order cognitive problem solving skill. The previous knowledge and the experience of the learner are directly related to the teaching process. Why? Because if we know about certain concept, then it will be easy to understand that concept, right? So we say that the previous knowledge is a very important in the process of the learning. So here the answer will be option number 3, that is previous knowledge. So if we look at another option, that is school atmosphere and infrastructure, they are related to the learning environment. Both are related to learning environment, and it is a true that this factor have some impact on the learning but not primarily. And if we look at the teacher's personality, the personality of the teacher is the quality of the teacher. So this is a quality of teacher and not the quality of the learner. Effective teacher. So in this question they ask you about the effective teacher. For this, the first option is allow the student to ask question. Second one is complete syllabus within the time. Third one is provide variety of a learning experience. And the last one is explain everything to the absent student. Learning experience refer to any interaction, course, program or other experience in which learning takes place. When the learner is exposed to a multiple learning experience, their learning improves. So the effective teacher will be a person who provides a variety of the learning experience. That means correct answer here will be option number 3. That is, it provides a variety of learning experience. If your student have a problem related to the learning your subject, then the best solution is. So in this question they ask you, imagine that you are a teacher and if your student have a problem related to the learning with your subject, then what will be the best solution according to these options? Okay, for this first option here is increasing homework, second one is supervised study, third one is diagnostic teaching, and the last one is frequent assessment. So here the diagnostic teaching help in relieving in the individual weakness and the strength. In a certain course of the study, and the main aim behind the diagnostic teaching is the determine the cause of learning problem and to formulate plan for the remedial action. It plays a significant role in the improving the learning outcome for the student, and it will be a pinpoint on the types of error that were along with their causes. It helps to determine the student's level of knowledge, skill and understanding at the beginning of the course, grade level, unit and a lesson. Here the teacher analyzes the student on what they already know, means the previous knowledge, and adjust the curriculum to meet the needs of the student. So here the answer will be option number 3. If your student have a problem related to the learning with your subject, then the best solution is the diagnostic teaching. In which level of teaching the learner get an opportunity to discriminate the length between the positive and the negative explainer of the concept. So here in this question they given you the levels of the teaching. So please remember the different levels of a teaching. So there is a memory level is there, then there is a understanding level, then a reflective level is there, and a autonomous development level is also there. So in this question they ask you, given which of the methods or in a level, the learner get the opportunity to discriminate the length between the positive and the negative explainer of the concept. So here So here when we talk about the memory level, it is a thoughtless teaching. Which we use to the primary level, okay, where we are trying to memorize the things. Second one is understanding level of teaching. The teaching at the understanding level is a higher quality than one at the memory level. It is a more useful or a thoughtful from the point of view of a mental capacity. Okay, here the learner is trying to understand the things. Then is a reflective level. This level is also known as a introspective level. Once the student memorize the things, then he understand the things, and then he try to reflect the things. Okay, reflective level is a useful to the higher level of education. And the last one is a autonomous level, development level. Autonomous means the ability to take a control on one's own learning. An autonomous learner will take more responsibility of a learning and is likely to more effective than the learner who is relevant on the teacher. The focus of a concern is effective and effects and feelings. Here the correct answer is option number B, that is understanding level. In the understanding level of a teaching, the learner get the opportunity to discriminate at the length between the positive and the negative explorer of the concepts. The selection of teaching aid depend largely on. So here they ask you about the selecting of the teaching aid, which is largely depend on which of the given factor. So for this, the first option is age of the student, second one is interest of the student, third one is age and the motivation of the student, and the last one is educational level and the age of the student. First, understand what is teaching aid. So here the teaching aids are the object, okay, or the device which is used by the teacher to enhance the classroom instruction. That will be the audio-visual teaching aid, such as videos or a guest lecture. Okay. And in today's era, the traditional classroom teaching is a shift to the online teaching, and therefore the digital tools are used as a teaching aid. For example, we use the videos, we use the audios, right? We use the PPTs while teaching. That all these things are the teaching aid. Now, using of the teaching aid is largely depend on which of the following factor they are asking you. So it will be on the educational level and the age of the student. So why the educational level and the age of the student? Supposing if the student is or a child is learning in the class first or in KG level, we can't show the big videos or a big chart because the student will not understand anything, right? The student will get the confused. So the education level and the age of the student matters while selecting the teaching aid. So therefore the correct answer for this question will be option number 4. Selection of teaching aid depends largely on education level and the age of the student. The communication process is active and interactive at a very high level in which of the following level of the teaching. So here in this question they ask you about the communication process which is active and interactive at the very high level in which of the given level of the teaching. For this the first option is reflective level, then the understanding level is there, then memory level, and the last one is the autonomous development level. So the reflective level of the teaching is the main proponent of a reflective level of a teaching is a Hunt. Please remember this. It is a proponent by the Hunt. it is the highest level of the teaching, which involves the use of the problem-centric approach. The classroom environment is open at this level of the teaching. It leads to the development of the creative skill. It develops the skill of a learner by solving the real life problem. The techniques used are a student center. Okay. So here the correct answer is option number A, that is reflective level. In which level of a teaching lower level learning outcome get focus? So here in this question they ask you, given which level of the teaching the lower level learning outcome get focus. For this the first option is memory level, then is understanding level, then is reflective level, and the last one is autonomous development level. The activity of the teaching and the learning may be organized at the various levels of abstraction ranging from the use and the application of simple mental power. So according to B.O. Smith, teaching is a system of the action intended to include the learning, and the concept of a teaching and the learning both are interrelated. So here we consider the teaching and learning. Both these concepts are interrelated to each other. Please remember this. Holistic personality development is the final goal of a teaching and a learning. So what is the goal of the teaching and learning? This can be the question. So the answer will be the holistic personality. So here the correct answer is option number A. That is, in the memory level of a teaching, the lower level teaching outcome get more focus. Okay. Which of the following is included in the teaching of understanding level? So in this question they ask you, given which of the following is included in the teaching of understanding level? So the first option here is application, second one is comparison, third one is abstraction, and the last one is exploration. Okay. The activity of the teaching and the learning may be organized at the various level of the abstraction ranging from the use and the application of simple mental power to a most complex one. And such a organization are a distinct the label, form and the levels of a teaching, and there are three identifiable levels of the learning and teaching activities. Now what are these levels which I explained you already? Okay, that is a memory level, understanding level, and a reflective level. So these are the three major level of the teaching. There is another one, that is a fourth one, which is a autonomous development of the teaching, right? So here the activity of the teaching and the learning may be organized at the various level of the abstraction. So memory level is the least thoughtless, understanding level is the moderately thoughtful, and reflective is the most thoughtful, because here the child is trying to get reflect. Okay. So the first one, that is memory level, is given by the Harvard. Okay. Understanding level is given by Morrison, and this reflective level is given by Hunt, which I already told you, right? So here understanding level include the exposure, presentation, assimilation, organization, and rectification. So here they ask you about the which of the following include in the teaching of the understanding level. So the exposure will be the include in the understanding level. So here the answer is option number D, that is exploration. In which level of a teaching the main focus is laid on capturing and systematic presentation of ideas and information. So here in this question they given you the level of a teaching and they ask you the main focus is laid down on the capturing and systematic presentation of an idea and the information in which level of a teaching. So the options here are memory level, understanding level, reflective level and autonomous development level. So here we have 4 different levels which is given here. The memory level of a teaching is the first. We consider the memory level is the first and thoughtless level of the teaching, which is concerned with the memory and mental ability of the child that exist in all the living being. Okay, so here in teaching we are talking about a child. Okay, it is the lowest level of the teaching, and at this level the thinking ability does not play any role. The student only the charm, the facts, information, formulas and a law that are taught to them. The teaching is nothing but a learning the subject matter by the root, and the main focus is laid on capturing and a systematic presentation of ideas and the information. That means the correct answer here is option number A, that is memory level. Which of the following below is not an adolescent and adult learner characteristic in the context of the teaching? So here in this question they given you the 4 options and they ask you given which of the following below is not the adolescent and adult learner characteristic in the context of the teaching. So the first option here is academic, second one is social, third one is cognitive and the last one is arrogant. Okay. So when we are talking about the academic characteristic of the learner, it includes the education types, level and knowledge. In a young adolescent and intellectual level, it is not as a visible a physical level, but it just a intense. They are eager to learn and they favor the active over the passive learning experience. Then the social. Adolescent social development is also described as establishing the sense of identity. A role or the purpose. The risk-taking is the normal. They seek a social acceptance to the group norms and a good relation with the peers. Then is a cognitive. Cognition is the process of involving the thought, process and rational. The brain develop and accept the changes and begin to think logically. Here the child is trying to think in a logical way. The teacher are supposed to provide at the learning environment that ensure the brain development of the child. And the last one is arrogant. Okay. The way a person think and feel about himself and the other that invert the thought of a key to the emotional development. Adolescents get easily offended, sensitive to criticism and shift mood swiftly. The correct answer here is option number D, that is arrogant. Is not an adolescent and adult learner characteristic in the context of teaching. In which level of a teaching the teacher role is more active rather than being interactive? Okay, so in a given teaching level they ask you the teacher role is more active rather than the being interactive in which level of the teaching. So the first option here is memory level, second one is understanding level, third one is reflective level, and the last one is autonomous development level. Okay. So the learner psychology is the main proponent of the teaching. The ultimate goal of a teaching is the overall personality development of the child or the learner. To follow the stages of a development, the learner or teacher try to achieve the desired educational outcome. According to the Morris, the teaching learning situation may be classified on the continuum with the range from the thoughtful to the thoughtless operation. So here in this question the correct answer will be option number B. In understanding level, the teacher role is more active rather than being interactive. Student-centric classroom means. So here they ask you about the meaning of student-centric classroom. Okay. For this the first option is addressing individual differences. Second one is reducing teacher-oriented lecture. Third one is recalling the previous knowledge. And the last one is engaging the entire class. Here, the student-centered learning applies to the many educational learning and the teaching and support the approaches that tackle the individual students, group of the student, specific learning needs, interest, preference or a cultural background. So here the student-centered approach in the teaching learning process. In this approach, the learner or a child and not a teacher is the main focus of the educational program. Okay, so here the teacher is not main focus. It emphasizes the learning rather than the teaching. The overall goal of the education according to this approach is overall development of the child and not only acquiring the knowledge. The curriculum accordingly to this approach should be based upon the needs, interests, attitude, ability of the learner at a different level that enable them to acquire the necessary skills, knowledge, attitude and the values realizing their full potential. So in the student centric we are talking only about the students. Okay, we are only talking about the learner. The more importance is given to the learner. So here the correct answer is option number A, that is student centric classroom means addressing the individual differences. During teaching, a teacher's statement that encourages students to elaborate on an answer rather than their own or that of a other will be called. For this the first option is structuring, second one is instructional variety, third one is engagement in the learning process and the last one is probing. Okay. So, during the teaching, the teacher's statement that encourages the student to elaborate on the answer, either their own or that of the other, will be called a probing. Now, what is a probing? It is a teaching skill. So, remember that the probing is the nothing but the teaching skill. And the teacher pretend to ask the question to the questions in the response to the answer of the student. The questions against the initial answer of the student encourage the student to elaborate the concept and the student required to articulate the more attribute about the topic. It focuses more on the student's response. So here the teacher is trying to focus more on the student's response, how they are responding. Focus more on student's response. Probing is the tool. Okay. that one can use to invite a participant to reach the detail to their description and explanation. So the answer for this question will be option number 4, that is probing. The example of a probing can be the questions like, why do you think it is important? So here we are giving a chance to the children or a learner to get the answer, okay? Or what are the social impact of it? A teacher gives a lot of positive and a negative example in his and her presentation in the classroom. This will be related to which level of teaching. So here in this question they ask you a teacher, one who is teaching in the classroom, giving a positive as well as a negative example while giving the presentation in the classroom. So this is an example of which level of the teaching. For this, the first option is autonomous development level, second one is memory level, third one is understanding level, and the last one is the reflective level. So the activities of the teaching and the learning may be organized at the various level of the abstraction. The level of a teaching and a Bloom taxonomy of the educational objective. The based on the taxonomy, teaching is carried out at the 3 level. Now what are these 3 levels? That I have already told you, right? Keeping in the mind the development of a stages of the learner to achieve a descriptive objectives according to the Bloom, recalling of the previous learned information reflect one's memory level. The learning of the concept by a way of giving a various example related to its facilities understanding in the learner. Isolating and organizing the information into the part involved, analyzing and a generation or a construction, the new idea reflect the reflective level. Okay. So here the correct answer is option number 4, that is reflective level. Teaching defined as. So here in this question they ask you about the teaching. It is a defined as. For this the first option is facilitation of learning. Second one is transmission of knowledge by a teacher and its a reception by the students. Third one is reading the textbooks. And the last one is transmission of a knowledge by the teacher. So here the teaching is the process related to the effective transmission of the knowledge and the skill in an individual. It limit or enhance the way the learner learn and assimilate the concept and ideas. The teaching is defined as facilitation of the learning. Or in other words, the main objective of a teaching or a facilitating learning is traditionally the teacher are the one with the knowledge and the expertise in a particular field. They impart that knowledge through the variety of means to the student. Facilitator build on the knowledge base or a group of the student to find out the answer to the question. Facilitation of knowledge. The facilitator is a person who assists a group of people grasping their common target. Okay. The learner must get involved in the active participation that will be represented in the argumentation, discussion and a teamwork activity so that the process of a learning process becomes the comprehensive. Here the correct answer for this question will be option number A or option number 1. Teaching is defined as facilitation of learning. What is the most important for the teacher? So given in this question they ask you given which is the most important for a teacher. For this question the first option is to maintain discipline in the class. Second one is to be punctual in the class. Third one is to remove the difficulties of the student. And the last one is to be a good orator. To create a successful education, a good classroom management will be a much needed, because by applying this, the teacher can control, organize, assess and prompt the class well. And based on the fact that the role of a teacher in managing the classroom is needed by the teacher. Okay, so teacher who is a firmly rooted in the subject knowledge and make a clear presentation and recognize the student difficulty readily can be handle the queries of their student effectively. The teacher should have a ability to remove the difficulties of the student. The difficulties related to the learning, personal, social difficulties, okay, and teacher to be effective should know how to translate this knowledge into the appropriate curriculum assessment, test, game, lesson, demonstration. He should able to undertake the application oriented teaching as well. The organization is reflected in arranging the concept content to be taught in the systematic or a orderly function to enable the student to understand it better. The project clarity of the thought. The vision is to make the teaching more effective. The teacher who are a warm and a friendly and friendly, inspire and instill the positive attitude for a learning in the student, and such a teacher is known to be a more effective in terms of a student increase attention, achievement, willingness to learn and a favorable attitude towards the content. So the most important thing for a teacher is to remove the difficulty of the student. That means the correct answer is option number 3. So here is the last question which you have to answer. The question is, which of the following method of a teaching will encourage the indirect learning? For this, the first option is lecturing with example. Second one is team teaching. Third one is demonstration on the subject. And the last one is collaborative project. Please try to answer this question. Write your answer in the comment box. I am waiting for your answer. Okay. Till then, keep watching, keep learning.